Welcome back, everybody, to Thanks for Your Concern. You're here with Ella.
And I'm Bernice. Vocals!
Woo, woo, woo. Hey, Bernice.
You know, we do that to each other. We sing things sometimes, and I think that's normal until people point it out. They're like, "Why do you do that?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" And they're like, "You like sing certain words," and I was like, "No, you don't. Prove it."
That's just the musical theater kid in me, and like maybe it's because I've been thinking a lot about Wicked, and I'm like,
Listen, Ariana Grande is the celebrity with the most up and downs I've ever seen in my life, but I will say I feel genuinely happy for her. I cry that she gets to live her dream. I
honestly,
empathize with it.
I'm a stan, but I think some of the shit she's done in the past are funny in context to what we know now. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, did I tell you that I legit thought she was like, I thought she was a Latina for a really long time. At one point, I was like, maybe she's mixed. Like, and then now when you see her this light, you're like, oh, okay, so this is a white woman. Like, we love that for her, but
Yeah.
she had me gagged thinking she was a POC for years.
She's in her final form. You see someone heal, I see someone heal. So I'm excited to see what's next for her.
I'm happy to see her live out her dream of being Galinda and Wicked. Like, I actually reminiscing over me and Berenice saw Wicked in New York on Broadway.
We did.
And it was a really good memory.
So good.
I could understand why that's people's dreams of performing like a star striking musical. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just such an amazing musical to be in. And I was like, man, that would be such vibes for to be a career and a job. So I could see why it was her dream. I think everyone who was a musical theater kid wanted to be like in Wicked. Like, that's the dream.
Yeah, if you haven't gotten the chance to when you're in New York, you have to go see Wicked, okay? Even if you see the movie, it's just not the same. I'm telling you, the song Gravity single handedly brought me out of a hangover I was in. Like, I have same feeling than putting your face in ice, okay? In a bucket of ice. Just go watch Wicked.
I'm so excited. It comes out this week. This is literally free promo, but is that my update that I'm going to see Wicked this week? I don't think it is. I think my update is, y'all, I've been working Eastern EST hours. So I've been working, which is like 6 to 2 PST. I will say there's like good and bad to it, okay? Like there's good and bad to it. It has unlocked like a level of discipline that I have never been able to achieve. And I know it's like still new, but just being consistent with waking up at 5:30 a.m. and going to bed so that I can feel refreshed at 5:30 a.m. feels weirdly authentic because now there's not like, oh, what if I got up at 5:30? Like, what would be all the things I do in the day? No, this is it. This is what I do in a day, and I get a lot of shit done. It's crazy. And then, I basically work out. Sorry, my light was blinking, and
it's your grandma.
You guys, this is so off topic, but sometimes I blink and I think the lights are flickering. So when the lights are flickering, I don't know if I'm just blinking. So the light is flickering. Okay, so the
light is flickering.
I kind of gaslight myself.
Yeah,
sometimes where I'm like, oh, I'm just blinking. It's like, no, the light is flickering. Okay. Anyways, so I'm the most authentic version of myself right now because I am maximizing on like this is like my dream life. It's something I've aspired to for a long time, and now I'm just on it. And now it's like, okay, cool. This is it, babes. No regrets.
For some reason, I can't wake up at that time to save my life in New York, but whenever I go to Seattle, I'm working from home and I have to be on at 6 a.m. I've never been more awake at 6 in the morning. I'm ready to go. I'm like, okay, let's get it done. And it's nice because at 2 p.m. you're done working and like you can do whatever you want with your day. I do like that.
Yeah.
To be done that early. But that's tight, man. Well, welcome to the new sketch. You might just need to move to the East Coast or whatever. Maybe my dream of Ella moving to New York will finally become real.
This is the closest I've ever gotten. So, I'm working for a New York company. Now, it is remote, but hey, babes.
You want to live together again? I feel like round 2 would just be so different. Like, picture this.
Gosh, picture this.
We have our shit together. You cook, I clean. Amazing.
It's just like the idyllic like wife life. I love it. What's up with you?
What's up with me? I've been ill. Okay, I came back from EDC Orlando, and I caught every strain of whatever is out there. And I've literally been so fucking ill. So I've been trying to rally. I did it to myself. I just really wanted to go see, like, watch sports. I don't know what is happening to me, but
I
I've been
watch
really
sports.
I,
Watch
yeah,
sports.
I watch sports now. It turns out that if you watch sports, you don't go like to other things, right? So now I've been like going with my alumni association, and I've been meeting up with friends and like sitting at sports bars. And the thing is, it's actually really fun. I forgot that I like sports, like the way I like sports. And people are just so nice in there because there's not that many. This is a male dominated field, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So you get in there, and first of all, you're being swarmed with dudes, not the best. I have a pretty good fuck off face, but some of them are funny. So every once in a while you get a good one, and I'm like, you can stay. I had a great time watching sports. But because I watched sports and then there was all these men, they bought me drinks and I wanted to have fun. So now I'm actually more sick than I originally was. Now, that's the consequences of my actions. So I am taking accountability for that, which is actually what the episode of today is about. It's accountability
Accountability.
season, baby. Let's get it.
Well, thanks for your concern. Accountability season, baby. I feel like every season is accountability season, but I feel like right now is the best time to take stock and take accountability so you can like move forward into the new year like in the best way possible.
I'm with you, man. I think this is like the perfect time to reflect. Okay, the year's coming to a close. It's actually like we're really almost there. Damn. Did you get your shit done? Did you not get your shit done? I don't think there's a wrong answer to this, but I do feel like this is maybe a good time to think of what we actually did this year, and do we want to end it off like that? Was I the best version of myself this year? Personally, no. Okay, I I know that for a fact. But maybe you were, and maybe that's something to be really proud about and celebrate yourself for the rest of the year. Or like me, if you weren't, this is the time where I'm like, all right, well, I got one more month and some days to do something I find truly meaningful with my time and purpose. What do I want that to look like?
Taking like I don't know, like a little audit, a little self audit of like what things you did well, and recognizing that and using it as like a you know what I think I can like close that chapter and like move on to the next goal. I think for me, I like got I mean fueling my body. Oof, I'm killing that game, and I wasn't doing a great job. I was like, I've like it's an ADHD thing where like I just don't feed myself, and it's like not off some like anything but I'll straight up forget and like my body doesn't like send hunger signals in a way that I think normal people do. So I literally will just like think and be like, "Oh my god, I haven't eaten like all day." And then it'll be like so late in the day and my body's actually hungry when I bring attention to it. So I'd really tried to fuel my body this year. I did a great job on that. You know what I didn't do a great job of? Money. I'm not doing a great job on money. And that's
Mm,
kind of my next thing because if I'm gonna be accountable, I feel like my desire to support local businesses has gotten a little out of hand. Okay, I'm gonna be
damn.
honest because if you could justify any spending with I'm supporting a local business, you'll buy anything. It just means you're shopping at the right places. So I want a little willy nilly with supporting local businesses. So I just have to rein it in a little bit less eating out, a little bit just more intentional, I guess.
I would say mine is similar. I don't know if I was necessarily reckless with money. I just don't know if I am using my funds smart as I could be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes I look, I'm like, yes, I could be making more money, but I also could be living differently and be saving money in ways that I just need to say and like look at how I live and like kind of like rebudget certain things. Because I think I sometimes you get to a point where like you make money where you don't necessarily have to always be thinking about money. So
Yes.
you stop being like, oh, I should be within this range when I go out or when I do this, you know, just like bad at budgeting, which I just was not the most intentional version of myself. So that is something your girl is thinking about.
This actually brings me to like a point I was thinking about accountability, which is your parents might have done you a disservice, but now what? Okay? Because like for me, I was not taught like financial literacy or money habits. I think a lot of people's parents feel like that they're gonna teach their kids financial literacy through osmosis. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm being real. Like where some people's parents are like, well, I'm modeling good financial behaviors by like not having a lot of credit card debt. So that means that my kid knows how to not get into credit card debt. But it's like, well, no, not really, because that's a kind of a behind the scenes thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, sure, you are modeling a good behavior, but if your kid isn't seeing it and you're not pointing it out to them, then how are they going to fucking learn that shit? You know? So, I didn't know anything about credit scores, credit cards, loans,
Yeah.
and I think a lot of people might say like, "Oh, well my parents didn't teach me that." Like my parents didn't teach me how to cook. Okay, now what? Okay, you know, like now when you're a grown up, when you're really far from like I've spent more time outside of my parents' house than inside of my parents' house at this point almost. Now it's like, okay, well it's kind of on me to teach myself.
It is. It's that season. It's that era. We can no longer blame others for our choices.
You know what? And I was really impressed by this boy once. The only time I was ever impressed by a boy. No, but really, he told me that his New Year resolution was to learn one new recipe a week, so that by the end of the year he had learned 52 recipes.
Wow.
And I was like, "Wow, okay." Because it was, they were like, I do chicken and rice or whatever, but that's like all I can like cook, you know? And so they're like, so I try to teach myself one new recipe a week. And I was so impressed by that because I was like, wow, that is like taking agency and teaching yourself something that you weren't taught.
Smash.
Yeah.
Sometimes I look for men for skills I don't have. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's like,
Yeah.
this is a team. Now, I can provide certain skills. Now, if you have those, amazing. But if you have certain areas where I got gaps, perfect. Useful.
Literally.
Another Bernice of am I looking for an assistant or a partner? I don't know. You know, accountability of teaching things for yourself, accountability of who hurt you this year. Did someone hurt you? Did someone heal you? And did you hurt yourself? Okay. Sometimes I feel like when I fuck around and find out, what I ultimately find out is that I have perpetuated my own suffering in certain situations. And I'm like,
Uh-huh.
oh shit, did that person hurt me or did I hurt myself?
I don't know if you remember saying this, but you said something that I thought about in relation to taking accountability, which is like at some point this isn't like your type, this is your pattern, right? And so like
Yeah.
for me, I had a pattern of ain't shit motherfuckers, okay? Ain't shit men who were just not equally reciprocating energy, right? And it's like, why is that? Why is every dude I'm dating not giving me the same energy I'm giving them? Because that's who I'm dating. I'm allowing myself to date these guys.
Yeah.
So I tightened up ship a little bit, okay? And I actually am really proud about this. I was thinking about this today. As like when I was on Tinder, there was this one guy, perfectly nice guy, but he just didn't really he just was like too busy. And I was like, you know what? It's okay if you're busy or whatever, but like I don't want to constantly be competing with your time. Like, you know what I'm saying? Especially as a person who's pretty independent. So it's like if you're already too busy to like hang out with me once every 2 weeks, like what the fuck is this going to be, you know? And
Yeah.
I got this long text like, "No, things are about to change in my schedule." Da, 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 da. I'm like, sure. But like I rather not because I've done this before where it's like I have more energy or putting more into like seeing people. Like I'm making room in my schedule. I'm busy, bitch, you know? And it was like it stopped a pattern of just me accepting anybody regardless of whether they were like meeting up to expectations.
Yeah, there does come a time where you just notice that you're getting in your own way. And it's almost realizing, like, I annoy myself. I'm like, I don't want to be this way anymore. I don't want to be attracted to people like this. I don't want to be around people like this. So I don't really know why I'm doing that. You know what I mean? And I think obviously that comes with accountability for myself, but also just like, that just comes with time and age sometimes. Because I talk to younger people sometimes and they just don't see it yet.
I think what made me take accountability a lot with dating is when I was like in my mind nitpicking my friends on things I was also doing. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like you're like, "Girl, we've been here before." You know, like I'm about to fight you because like I don't want to keep on having this conversation. But I was doing the same thing too. It's just a different conversation. You know, like we had a different
Yeah.
like issue per se, but it was the same thing where it's like, "Oh damn, like we are participating in our own suffering by like not cutting this guy off." You know what I'm saying? Like allowing someone to like breadcrumb me was a big one. Was like it was like, oh, I would literally like let any dude like walk back into the life. Like I don't give a fuck if you dogged me hella bad. Like I'd be like, whatever, cool. Like I forget about that. Like because I like you, you know. And it's like, oh
Yeah.
wait, no, like I could stop this. I can get off this roller, you know, this hamster wheel by making a different choice than I usually would make.
Oh, 100%. I mean, that's literally change. That is how you know. That's when you finally know yourself enough to understand like your triggers and your patterns. When you're in a pattern where something triggers you, you literally make a conscious choice after recognizing, oh my God, this situation has happened to me before. I reacted this way. I felt this way. I felt this way now. What am I going to do? Am I going to do the same thing when I know it's going to be the same outcome? Or am I going to try something a little bit different? You know what I mean? Maybe I'll stand up for myself this time. Maybe I'll just walk away this time. And yeah, that definitely changes your character. For me, it was I'm like super late on this. I've been watching Love Island, the season that everybody watched this summer, just slowly. Uh, and I saw Kaylor, and with this dude that obviously sucks, and like everybody knows he sucks, except for her, and she just like is in this constant state of despair and complaining about the situation where she really just should have told this guy to fuck off. You know what I mean? And I literally thought to myself, oh my God, I've been this bitch. I've been this bitch where I'm like, I love this person. Why is he doing this? I know he's good. I pledge that if I'm ever that annoying over a man, roll the tape. Roll that tape specifically, okay? And say,
Oof.
this is what you look like. This is what you look like right now. Do you see the situation? That's the situation playing out because everybody knows. Everybody knows when the guy you're seeing sucks, except you. Now, the math's not mathing. We need we need accountability for ourselves, whether that is finding an example. It's just something to hold on to. You know what I mean? And something to bring me back down to earth because sometimes I miss it. When you're in it, you miss those things.
Another thing that makes me think about like, oh, you know, like I've been that girl with this, you know, with a dude, da 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 da. I think that in a toxic dynamic, there's always like two entities, right? And something that I did last year was like cleaning up my side of the street, as in doing like my best and trying to like improve my communication skills, improve like even with like a job, you know, it's like, okay, well, maybe if I can make some more boundaries at work or if I can like do my best work more often, you know, it could change this dynamic. And it actually kind of frees you because at some point, once you've done like all the growth you can really look at the situation and be like, damn, okay, yeah, this is the other person. Like it really is not me, this is them. Or it can like you've done all the improving and someone hasn't done anything on their part and it's easier to walk away because you've given it your best shot to like create a
Yeah,
better dynamic. So it's like, you know, I think sometimes like leaving a situation might not always be like the easy solution, but like another solution is like trying your best and taking accountability because I think it actually takes you closer to the door.
I agree. And then I think in this way is you healing yourself. This is a very conscious way. to heal yourself, to make a like kind of like a promise to yourself that you're going to reflect on your actions, on all the things that may come up, and as you're responding differently, choose the best thing for yourself. I think there's like a quote that's like, you can't heal in the place that hurt you or the place that like caused you that trauma. And I think there's some truth to that. Because I kind of did this before where I was in a situation with someone that really triggered me and I reacted pretty awful, not the best representation of myself. Then I tried to rally the situation and I was like, okay, what if I acted just differently this time as friends? Let's just see how it goes. And I can honestly say that I am at peace with writing out that situation. That's also why I say, like, if you have a crush and you want to stop crushing on them, just get to know them, like, really get to know them. Because as the more I consciously was like, oh, I'm acting weird right now. This is a response of me feeling insecure. I'm like working this up in my head when nothing is there. How would I react if this was just like one of my friends and I wasn't thinking about how I wasn't taking their actions as personal anymore. I was just like, this is just who they are. And the more I carried that out, the more I realized, wow, this person's energy sucks, right? And not just like with me, with everybody. That
I
really helps you walk away.
It's like kind of it's like equally as sad, but probably some of the most helpful advice, and why like taking it slow can be so valuable is because I just think this is just in life when you rush. I think our bodies naturally like want to rush into something that starts to feel good, but it leaves us in a very precarious position because as you get deeper into a situation, it just becomes harder to leave. So like the value of like holding yourself accountable to like take it slow or just to like do life at a little bit different pace than you're normally used to if you keep kind of ending up in similar situations. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm trying to think an example that comes to my mind is like I have a friend that's had like a lot of like short-term relationships, and I was like, well, and they were kind of complaining about it. I was like, well, it's probably cuz you don't get to know people well enough before you start a relationship.
Yeah, before you start actually forming like an attachment.
Yeah, before saying like this is my boyfriend, because it's like it is harder to break up with a boyfriend, to get the courage to break up with a boyfriend, than it is just to stop dating someone you're casually dating. Like it is just easier, you know? So it's like, well, if
Yeah.
you got to know them better and realize like incompatibilities early on, you'd probably like avoid this issue.
100%. And it's interesting because I used to want to have something with someone like from the beginning, like I want to be treated this way, I want to be taken out this way, I want to be, like I want just like that initial effort. But what I realized that I was really attracting with that energy was love bombers. And now I'm like the complete opposite. I'm like, I need like 6 business months to get to know you before I can consider anything. Okay? So if you're coming off like that, it's like, I don't want it. I don't want it. I just need you to chill out. I need you to chill out. I need you to give me some time. I need you to give me some space, actually, too. And I need you to take it slowly. Just get to know me as like a human being. Okay? And see how we're feeling, see how we deal through a lot of situations. You really don't know somebody until you see them under like stress and pressure and you say no. And there's like so many instances where you really get to know somebody. You know what I mean? That I think those experiences have been so much more like character telling to me than, oh, he's like getting me whatever. Like I don't
Yeah.
know. My whole mentality has changed a lot regarding like courtship and what that looks like and emphasizing friendship in relationships
I think
because
that's
that's what
smart.
they are, like
At
yeah,
the end of the day,
a
I
good
mean,
friendship.
I think a good friendship, and then I think a good friendship because I think people communicate differently with a friend than they do like than a partner. I think if you're the basis of friendship, it makes like disagreements easier because you already have like the friendship fondness of someone that I think makes it like easier to deal with problems in my point.
Yeah,
Like if you already like the person, you give them a benefit of the doubt, and I think it just like makes disagreements a little easier.
yeah, that's true. It does, but also like I think in most of my adult friendships, I've had conflict. I've had places where I didn't like what somebody did and I set boundaries, and we're really good friends because we work through those. You know what I mean? So it's like obviously that is very different from a relationship. I don't know if I would date some of my friends. But but then you know how people deal with conflict. I would say with accountability and in friendship, I have really valued some instances where I was in the wrong and my friends held me accountable. There were times where I was shady McShade. Okay, I was I was not my best version myself, and I had some of my friends be like, "I'm not I'm not down for that." And I've done that to some of my friends. And I think at the time, obviously it like throws you off in your delivery, given or some of my friends didn't have the best delivery to me. But I got it. I got the message across. I was like, yeah, shit, I really can't act like that. And that's just like my friends expecting me to be a good person. And I think like doing that for each other. So I'm accountable for my behavior, and I really do value people in my life that hold me accountable. I know that sometimes I like to do that to people that I consider people that I want close in my life, and they tell me to fuck off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And in a sense, I think that for me is like if you don't want someone in your life to hold you accountable, or you get defensive when someone brings up something of how you made them feel or a behavior that maybe actually isn't good, is this a person that I really want to have in my life? Someone that can't take accountability for their actions?
I've learned through fit therapy that like the best time to bring things up is in the moment, as long as you're in like a cool collective state. I think sometimes like with accountability where people go wrong is they like hold it in, hold it in, hold it in, and then want to make someone accountable for everything they've ever done in the past like 2 3 years, and then it comes on as kind of like it's like, oh my god, well then why are you bringing all this up right now? So something my therapist says is like maybe let go of things that have happened, but when things come up, think of like strategies of how you're going to address it now. So it's like if you're not holding your friends accountable and you want to start, don't start by like doing kind of like let me tell you everything you've ever done wrong. It's like when things come up, bring them up.
I agree. It is tough to get it bombarded with everything you've ever done that you didn't know you did.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that just comes down to communication skills. To be honest with you, because I've had some tough friendships where honestly I just don't think that person knew how to communicate, and it made it really difficult to try to have conversations because I would be vocal every time that there would be something that happened, and I
Hmm.
would want to set boundaries and blah blah blah. And I think after like a few incidents, we had like a big talk, and everything came out. We're like, you do this and you do this and you do this, and I was like, why didn't you bring this up sooner? Because now suddenly you're telling me that I'm like this crazy, straightforward, blunt bitch that treats you like shit. Why are you friends with me? You know what I mean? A, why are
Yeah.
you friends with me? And two, why didn't you say anything? That's crazy. How am I supposed to know?
That's a big thing is that like you can't like people are not going to be held accountable unless you say something. So that's why I was like, if you're listening to this and you've never held a friend accountable, don't go like with the
Like,
laundry
it's
list
your
of
time. Here
like
are all your offenses.
you're like in court and you're reading out every offense they've ever done against you. It's like go forward with like the new year and like if it's accountability season, just when things come up, say something. Another thing with keeping people accountable is depending on the situation, one-on-one conversations are a little bit easier. Sometimes when you try to hold people accountable in front of a group of people, depending on the situation, it feels like a call out, which may or may not be necessary, but just like if I'm giving a little advice on how to hold people accountable and get the best result, I think it's when you're being honest and when you're having like one-on-one conversations with people.
I have one. I think this is accountability. I don't know if people have just been feeling extra feisty, like post election or whatever, but I've been seeing a lot of people on social media take matters into their own hands with accountability. Now, do I feel like this is the best method? No, but like, it's also something so unhinged about it that I'm like, do it. No, I mean, you got TikTok girlies snitching on probably everything. Thank God for them. Some of them are really doing the God's work. Women, we need to unionize, all right? I see, you see like Facebook pages, are we dating the same man? I think this is a great way to hold men accountable. personally, I just haven't met a lot of them in the recent years that are not liars. So sometimes when I see those groups, I'm like, well, sister, I don't know how to tell you this. How are we going to do it?
It's like it's just like even the thought to go into one of those groups is like the answer, you know?
Yeah, yeah. But I do believe in holding people accountable, and I think a great way to do that is it's starting within our friend groups. Unfortunately, I've been in situations where I was honestly more hurt by the women that knew in the circle of friends that like I was dating in, that this person was like literally like just not being a very nice human being or an honest human being, and they, not that I think they were pretending to be my friend, but I guess I just it wasn't coming from a place where I felt they were really my friends, right? And sometimes that hurts more. So I think like as women, we're not all girls, but we could all be girls, and I think it's time we had each other's back. Um, I know that I'm in friend groups where I have spotted misogyny and homophobia and other things that I don't agree with and I don't want to see in my friend groups. So I think it's kind of like up to me to speak up and hold my people accountable and try to make it easier for everybody. And I think it'd be really tight if we all did that together.
With accountability, I think I don't know. I don't want to put any blame, but some people are acting a little too shocked about like their favorite influencer or people in their friend group that like secretly voted for Trump, and I'm like, I feel like you got to take a little accountability because what conversations are you not having or what haven't you are you just not privy to that you're kind of missing the signs and signals that someone is going to vote against your interests. You know what I'm saying?
I will say I wasn't surprised about anyone. I knew who I knew who the Trump supporters were. You know what I mean? I guess at least for me it's not hard because I lead with I grew up undocumented, so like I think people usually out themselves like pretty quick.
Well,
You're
yeah,
picking up
same
those,
thing.
yeah.
And it's like, I mean, a lot of people, I remember people used to people used to tell me, Verity, say we were like social justice warriors, and we were like, yes, and bitch, why do you say that like that's a fucking like like that's an insult? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? So that's what I mean. Is that like maybe take a little bit of accountability if you're really shocked that some of your friends or some of like, the influencers you support are Trump supporters. It maybe you need to like tune in to what people of color around you are saying, and also just like knowing what the defaults in America are. So it's like, honestly, if you don't hear a white person talking about like standing up against systems of oppression, they probably don't care about systems of oppression, unfortunately. And where they are on the spectrum can be a couple different places, but silence tends to skew a certain way, unfortunately, in this country. So maybe just like think about that like I think it's good that you want to hold people accountable. I think it's good that you want to hold people accountable, but then there's also got to be like a little bit of a reality check that it's like, okay, we live in America. That's a white person. They come from wealth. Where do we think they're going to land if they don't speak about injustices against the systems of oppression? You know?
Yeah. I'm having an interesting time navigating that a little bit with some of my friendships where I was like, I know you're not a bad person and I know that you mean well to the extent that you say you do, but how do I continue being friends with you? And
Hey,
like
man.
and I don't know if it's reasonable to say, tell me what your plan is to, support women's reproductive rights. I want a PowerPoint, bro. Like the fuck? I'm sorry, you don't get to be a man in my circle and not care about that. I just don't want it. I just don't want it.
And honestly, like not even like, oh, these are bad people or whatever. I'm not even gonna label it like that. I just mean that like I think like anti-racism, the book, it's basically just talks about that like racism is the default. So and you can't just not be racist. Like you have to be anti-racist, right? Like that's kind of like what I mean where it's like I don't think people are bad people, but like they if their default is I like how the system is working, that means that they're like down with what systems of oppression the system is upholding, you know? And so
Yeah.
that's just like the reality of the situation. It doesn't mean they're bad people, depending on how you want to think about it. But I just think it's like that's just the reality of the situation in America. And I think a lot of people are kind of in denial about like, oh my God, I can't believe so many people voted this way. And it's like, no, I mean, some people, it's just not a priority. So it's like we have to make sure that we're putting our dollars and our support towards people who are making it a priority, in my point of view. If that's something you care about, I guess, you know?
That's what it comes down to. And that's a lot of the conversations that I really had with people. It was like, if you care to learn about this, you can. But like, if you don't, do I really fuck with you? I don't know.
We haven't done plugs of the week in a while, and I wanted to
Oh,
do
right.
plug of the week. Oh my god, when was the last time we sang that? Plug of the week.
Wow, I miss her.
Wow. So there's this website called ethos-squared, spelled SSQRD.co, and it basically just gives you like it basically has like makeup, skincare, fashion, fragrance, and it kind of has tags associated, like whether they're a black owned business, Muslim owned business, Southeast Asian, Palestinian owned. It just like tags different causes. I thought it was just like cool because it just gives you like some options. Because I know it's not like easy to find brands to support. Like obviously because there's no conscious consumption under capitalism. We can't be perfect, but I think if we go a little bit extra to just think about how can we support local businesses who are paying workers a fair living wage, and then how can we support businesses by marginalized people to keep it like within the community.
And unplug my friend Ali. Ali is the one who got me to be a judge at this open mic. They have open mics, I believe, every last Monday of the month. But this one's actually on the first Monday, and it's Talk Story Writers Open Mic. So if you want to like get involved with their community, go follow them at Ali ALLIEIHG. They're in the Bushwick area. It's really cool, but you can also do so many other things at the open mic. Some people were rapping, some people were like performing.
Those will be in the description. Those are the plugs of the week. All right, y'all. Thank you for listening to this episode about Accountability SZN. We loved having you. And like always, if you can rate this, review it, and send it to a friend, it helps us out a whole lot. And make sure you come back next week. If you want to follow us between this week and next, you can find us on socials at Thanks Number for Your Concern. And I'm at Ella L. Tudor.
And I'm at Bernice DSM.